So the bow hold is one of the trickiest things when you're first learning a violin. And in fact, actually, I'm constantly looking at my bow hold going, could do better. So it's quite good for me when I'm teaching people a bow hold to have a real think about it myself. What I really don't like is when you have this going on, a bit like a duck's bill, isn't it? So people holding the bow with a straight thumb, straight fingers, like that. It's very rigid. It makes it very difficult to do some really lovely bow strokes and make a really great sound. So it's wonderful if you can get a nice relaxed hand. Exactly. So
shake it out.
Shake it out.
Yeah.
And then, can you do that? Yeah. So you're going to just relax your hand. Yeah. There it is, nice and relaxed. What happens if you look at it, actually, your thumb falls fairly opposite your second finger, pretty much. Nice and relaxed there. The fingers are a bit curved. If you keep that shape completely and just turn it over, that's your bow hold. Done. Right? But then you have to stick the bow in. So a little bit tricky. So we're going to lift up the bow with the left hand straight in front of us. Yeah, my assistant shall help me. Great, very good. So there I've got my shape of my hand, flop, 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 turn it over. And the thumb comes in at completely level, like that. In it goes. The tip of the thumb joins that bit there. It's not sticking through the bow. It's just sitting on that corner where the lapping ends and the frog begins. There it is. The thumb's nice and bent. Okay, keep it springy, keep it bent. Then we have fingers 1, 2, and 3. The middle joints there sit on top of the bow, opposite the thumb. The second finger's opposite the thumb. They're sitting on top of the bow. They are not curled round, gripping the bow like that. You don't want them gripping. You want them sitting nicely on top of the bow like that. And then your little finger, nice and curved, sits on the top of the bow. There are 2 flat bits on the top of the bow, one slightly further away from you, one slightly nearer. Go for the one slightly nearer, otherwise you'll slip off the bow. So there I am, sitting with my 3 fingers on top of the bow like that, lazily. Little finger, tip of the little finger comes straight down onto that top shelf, the one nearest me. There you go. I then put my left hand under the bow in case I drop it. We don't want that. No, it's very expensive. So there we go. It's ready to catch it if it falls. If you find that you think you're going to drop the bow, if you start thinking, oh, it's going to go like this, then imagine you're on a motorbike and you go brum like that, and you bring the wrist down. You just pull the hand towards you like that. Don't let it be hanging over a garden gate like that. Yeah, you want it coming down like this. Get a few wrinkles going in your wrist there. Wrinkles are good. So there we are, holding the bow like that. Great, left hand underneath. And now I'm going to lift off my first finger. Have a go, Jo. How's it feel?
Yeah.
Feel a little bit unstable?
No, I think that's okay for now, but I'm not sure if I have to try another finger.
Well, so if it's feeling unstable, just practice the first finger, yeah? Just practice that until it starts to feel really okay. Remember, what you're doing is you're balancing the bow between the little finger and the thumb. These 3 fingers don't actually do anything. I mean, in theory, and I don't recommend this, you could cut off the tips of those 3 fingers, actually, and it would still work. There would still be no excuse not to do your violin practice. So really, it's the little finger and the thumb which are doing all the work here. So our 3 fingers sit back on the bow there, and then we have first finger comes off, then the second finger. Put your hand under your bow, Jo.
I think,
naughty.
I'm second finger.
Yeah, second finger off.
Oh, yes.
Third finger off.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Now you'll feel huge pressure at this point coming up through your little finger. This is good. This is a little finger workout. It's like being in the gym for the little finger. I remember when I first did this, it was so tired so quickly and I moaned about it all the time. But it's got stronger. It's only taken about half a century, but now I'm there. So don't worry. You just keep doing it. If it hurts, you stop and have a rest and then have a go again. So there I am with the 3 fingers off. How are your fingers doing, Jo? Are they all right?
I think so. Yes.
Super duper. And then we're going to push down with the little finger. Now, I don't mean that we're going to turn with the hand. Nothing is going to move except that little finger is going to press down. So when I press down on that little finger, it opens up, like Tower Bridge in London, to let the boats through. Okay, you don't do this fast and you don't do it very far, yeah? We don't want it going all the way up like this.
We probably don't want it dropping down here either, do we?
No, it only stays flat. So imagine if the bridge went down, that'd be very bad for the boats underneath. So we want to go from the bow being flat to coming up to about, 45 degrees, something like that. And up and down it goes. Ah, lovely. Great. Okay. How's that feeling, Jo?
Yeah, a little bit wobbly, but
Yeah?
yeah.
And is it feeling a bit wobbly perhaps this way as
Yeah,
well? So
yeah.
it can get a bit kind of, like that, and you might hit yourself in the face. We don't want this. Remember, the little finger acts a little bit like a rudder of a boat. So that little finger actually has quite a lot of control sideways as well. So if your bow's wandering down over the fingerboard or coming up and poking you in the eye, you can actually control it with that little finger. It takes time. The little finger needs to get strong and it needs to get a real control there.
And if you're feeling tired, like I just did, don't just take your hand off, shake it out, and then reset and shake it out. Because we don't. It's a bit like being an athlete. You don't want to push yourself too far. You have to do build it up gradually, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. Now that's how I do it. But how do you do it, Jo?
I think there's many different ways to approach a problem, and I do something slightly different when I'm teaching it to little kids. Same result. We end up in the same place, don't we?
Yeah.
But it's always good to have different options because some students need to just, approach it in a different way. So particularly for little kids, I want them to have a really relaxed arm. And when they've got their bow hold, that we've got this weight behind here and they're not holding the bow up and holding their arm. So what we're trying to do is encourage that weight down into the string. So we imagine that this is a branch of a tree and we can hold it up high here. And you're a monkey hanging from a tree, or a sloth, or I think I'm probably a sloth. But you're hanging like this. You've got your whole weight and the arm weight behind you. It's funny because sometimes I take the bow away and the kids, their arms stay up in the air, which shows me that they're not nice and relaxed, because actually if you're really hanging on that branch, if you take it away, your arm just flops down. So that's the sort of feeling that we want. And like Nicole said, they're hanging over on that first joint there. Next thing, we just gently, don't know whether you can see, put the thumb in that place, half on the frog and half on the stick, and on my side of the stick, not sticking through like a tongue. Don't want any tongues. So we put the thumb in there, and then the last thing is that the pinky finger just sits up on the stick like a little bird on the power lines. As Nicole said, we need to use it as ballast, so we can move up and down, and we need it to work as a rudder as well, so we can steer as we go up and down the string. So that's how I do my bow hold. And the most important thing, no matter how you approach it, is that you're nice and relaxed and everything's nice and soft and flexible, particularly that thumb. Because if the thumb stops being bent, stops being soft, stops being flexible, gets straight, then you can see all the fingers get straight, and then we get that dreaded duckbill hold that we're all trying to avoid. So that's how I approach it.
Another nice thing you can do, I'm a big fan of practicing away from the instrument. So even if you didn't have the violin and bow out with you at the time, you could practice with a pencil.
Yep, in school.
You can just practice picking something up, just like that. If you picked up a pencil, would you pick it up like that? No, right? You just go like that, quite relaxed. And that feeling, getting used to that feeling of holding something really just enough to lift it up, not grabbing it. That's a really helpful thing to do as well. So practice with whatever you can find, knives, forks, pencils, anything. Good luck.